Hello everyone. The purpose of this video is to update you on the latest change that we are making in the OPD clinical flow. Basically we are introducing one option called check-in in the OPD clinical flow just to segregate the actual waiting time of a patient and actual engaged time of a patient. So let us go ahead and see the changes and how to use that particular button in our clinical working flow. So let me just register a patient to show that feature. So you can register either of like searching or by adding a new patient here. So this is a patient here which I am registering. Let's say Sudas Kumar is a patient, right? And let me capture the details and we'll say create an appointment. So as we all know that whenever we register a patient, the first patient will reflect in the tab of not arrived list, right? So and from here we will mark the patient as arrived, and then the patient working flow will start in a hospital. So this we already know. So but one change that we are making here is, so after marking the as arrived in current flow, what will happen is the patient will be considered as a engaged only, irrespective of either like in the user's queue there are other patients which are engaged or waiting, might be waiting. So irrespective of that, the current scenario, it's the system starts capturing the whatever the time is the patient is waiting is also in a engaged time. So to segregate that waiting time and the actual engaged time, what we have introduced is we have introduced a button called check-in. So how to use that? So let us see. So right now what I will do is, as I have just registered a patient and patient is reflecting not arrived tab, I will just mark this patient as arrived. So whenever the patient arrives, I'll say mark as arrived. Again, this token system we can configure in token system. Let's say I'll give 4 token system to the token number to the patient. And once we mark the patient, as we know the patient will go to the queue. And also you can see here the patient Sudas, right now we registered, and the status of patient is waiting. So this is how you can see segregate the patient waiting time actually. And you can see the above patient, the Sahil Kumar patient, which is showing the receptionist and the receptionist name. So this basically shows you this particular patient is engaged at receptionist and this particular patient is waiting at a receptionist desk. Okay, so to start engaging the patient, start working on the patient, what you have to do is you have to do this check-in button here. So click on a check-in button to start engaging the patient and forward to a next user. So I'll have to do a check-in here. So once you do a check-in, you will get the options to forward it to a next user. So and whatever your workup will remain as is. Only change what we have done is just a check-in button where to engage the patient you have to do a check-in. So this applies for all the rest of the user. Let's say it can be an optometrist, ARNCT, doctor, counselor, nurse, all the users. Whenever you send a patient from one user to a next user, let's say right now I will send from this particular receptionist to a optometrist, right? So what will happen in this case is the patient will not go directly to an engaged state. Patient will show in the waiting list of a optometrist user. So I have just forwarded the patient, and you can also see here in the all tab now. Going forward, you will be noticed with this particular changes here. So you will see patient is waiting at doctor location and patient is engaged at optometrist, and this patient Sahil Kumar is engaged at receptionist, and Sudas Kumar patient is waiting for optometrist Arun, as you can see here, right? So this is how you can also see the information here. And now, like as we have forwarded the patient to a optometrist, and if I just log in with a optometrist, the patient will be shown here as a waiting state, so not as a engaged state, right? And as you can see here, the patient Sudas Kumar is reflecting here and the patient is waiting right now. So to engage a patient or to create a templates at a optometrist level, so optometrist has to mark first this patient as checked in, and they have to create the template. If I just click on check-in, it will allow me to create a template details. So earlier this was like the new button was not available, right? Unless we mark the patient as checked in, the button will not be available. And which is the same scenario for the doctor user. If I send this patient to a doctor again has to do a check-in, and then they have to start working on the clinical template. Let's say if I just send the patient to a doctor, you can say I'll just log out here and I will just log in from the doctor ID, and let us see how the doctors can again do a check-in and then So as you can see here, the patient is again showing in a waiting state. There are two patients which are in a waiting state. I can engage either of patient. Let's say this patient is waiting since last like around 4 hours, so I will check in this patient and work on, and then I'll go ahead and create the templates. So rest of the changes remains as is. Only change what we have introduced is a waiting or a check-in button. So just to segregate your waiting patient waiting time and the patient actual engaged time. So this will be very useful for the users to analyze their engaged time and the patient's waiting time, and then based on that they can improve on the quality of service that to provide the patients, right? So thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any kind of questions or if you need any demonstration, once again you can always reach out to us over a mail or a WhatsApp, or you can also call us directly, right?